Hi, and welcome back to Between Screenings, where we talk all things film festivals and film. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Very well, Neil. A lot's happened since we last saw each other, so I'm particularly excited for this week.
A lot has indeed happened. We've had BAFTA nominations, we've had Oscar nominations, Sundance Film Festival is underway, and more importantly, the Manchester Film Festival has announced its 2026 lineup.
Which of those stories I'd be reporting on if I worked at the trades?
Exactly. Well, Deadline have run a lovely piece on the Manchester Film Festival selection, as have BBC have also run a piece calling us the biggest film festival in the north of England, which I imagine will piss off Sheffield Dockfest and Leeds Film Festival, which has been going a lot longer than we have.
I was about to say, I can think of two people who might be a little irritated at that.
But I didn't say it. The BBC said it.
And why would the BBC lie? They need three sources for everything, so it has to be true.
Exactly. So yes. Where do we want to start, Tom? Should we dive into the awards nominations?
As they matter less than the Manchester lineup, let's start with them. Let's throw them a bone. They need it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything. The sort of BAFTA nominations are kind of similar-ish to the Oscar nominations. Seems that Sinners, One Battle After Another, are the front runners for kind of everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to talk about the BAFTAs without just immediately talking about the Oscars. But yeah, I've not really seen much here that's, massively out of stat. I
suppose
did wonder.
The lack of K-pop Demon Hunters in the animated film category, but that was purely that BAFTA didn't judge it of having enough of a theatrical release.
Did they not? I actually didn't realize that's why it hadn't been included. Well, see, there's a lesson for you, Netflix. If you want the BAFTA awards, if you want Neil Jeram-Croft to vote for your film, and you would have put it out for longer than a weekend.
Yeah, I definitely would have. Also, obviously, BAFTA only have the 5 films in their best film category, whereas Oscar have got the 10, so they can sneak in something like F1.
Yeah, I mean, can we talk about this? Let's just merge the BAFTA and Oscar chat because it's too difficult to do them separately. F1 is we've spoken, Neil and Tom, 4-star fun. We're on that poster, we are fans of F1. F1 is not an Oscar movie. It's not even attempting to be an Oscar movie, in my eyes at least. You may disagree. The fact that it's been nominated baffles me beyond, does Brad Pitt have the hardest working PR in Hollywood? I genuinely don't understand it. Do you have any idea what's gone on there?
I get it. I got it with Top Gun Maverick. When I went and watched Top Gun Maverick at the cinema, I was like, give it all the awards. I absolutely came out. I loved it. It was the right balance of nostalgia and excitement. It was also Star Wars: A New Hope ending, but with fighter jets and Tom Cruise. He literally, at the end of that film, puts the mask on and just uses the Force to shoot down a little hole. I was like, they've made Star Wars again. But I just loved it. F1, I really enjoyed, and it was a really big spectacle. I saw it on the biggest screen I could with the best sound, and it was some fun popcorn entertainment. But you do expect a little bit more for a Best Picture nomination, especially when the films I think it's a really strong list this year, though.
There is nothing on there that I do not think, with the exception of F1, there's nothing on there that I look at and go, why is that on there? I feel like the Academy felt they had to put something populist on there, but they didn't want to reward James Cameron for Avatar, and they didn't want to reward Wicked for Good.
Yeah.
It seems so strange to me.
I'm not a fan. The only thing I can't believe Frankenstein's on there because I just didn't vibe with it. I think it was really interesting hearing Ben. I'd already made this complaint about Frankenstein, and then listening to Ben Affleck and Matt Damon talk recently on the Joe Rogan podcast. They were talking about how action films used to have 3 set pieces, one in Act 1, one in Act 2, one in Act 3, and they got progressively bigger. And then you splurged all your money on that big final set piece in Act 3. And Netflix now go, can we have a massive, huge action sequence in the first 5 minutes, maybe? Because we need to catch people's attention. And I felt like they did that with Frankenstein. I felt like they sort of did this huge set piece, the monster going mad and killing things right at the start of the film, purely for Netflix. I don't believe that was a decision Guillermo del Toro would have made if this wasn't going straight to Netflix. And for me, it kind of ruined the flow of the film to an extent. But it was fine. It was a monster movie, but again, I really don't like Jacob Elordi wandering around pretending to be a monster is getting best supporting actor nominations.
I'm going to disagree with you slightly because I do think that Guillermo has a populist tendency in his work. I think that you don't make Hellboy and not come to a film like Frankenstein and think, right, how could I present this somber story of a modern Prometheus, or whatever it is. I'm a big fan of Frankenstein. The one for me on there that I'm probably going to get pillared for not really enjoying, although I understand why it's on there, is The Secret Agent. It was one of those films that when I watched it, I was like, this is really good. It's just not for me, if you know what I mean.
I've not seen it. Carl saw it at Cannes. He was really excited and found it very meh. Just found it a bit too dull. So yeah, I think it is one of those where it is odd.
I think that's probably the word I'd use for it. I think it's a very long movie that you're like, is this going to start in a minute? And it's not that the story's not interesting. It's just taking it in such a naturalistic and real world way that it's not what your brain's been trained to think of when you're watching a movie, especially a movie as long, over 2 hours like that.
Yeah, but I think I think the BAFTAs, because they've got that shorter list of only 5, you end up with probably the right 5. If I was going to pick 5 off the Oscar list, I think they would definitely be my 5. They would be my 5. I mean, Begonia I really enjoyed. I just don't think it's as strong as his other stuff. So I probably those would be my best 5 from the Academy Award list.
Yeah, I agree. I think no. Because I really enjoyed Train Dreams when I watched it this week. I really, really enjoyed it, far more than I expected to. But I just do not think it's going to push anything off that BAFTA list. I was toying with the idea of sentimental value.
Yeah. And I mean, with the BAFTAs, we've got the Outstanding British Film list, which is 10 strong. And that has some mad inclusions on it. I mean, who is voting for Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy as the best British film of this year?
I genuinely do not know what. Listen, I went to the premiere of Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. I am a Bridget Jones fan. It is not the outstanding British film of the year. It feels very much like the F1 of this category, to be completely honest. It is nice, though, to see podcast favourite, I Swear, on there, which deserves to win for me. As much as I love some of the other movies on there.
Yeah, I mean, I Swear or Pillion are the big 2 for me. I think Hamnet being on there might make that the favourite, because obviously that makes the best picture shortlist, and that's always a funny one for me. So, Oscars, can anything else win best foreign language film at the Oscars other than Secret Agent, seeing as it has a nomination for Best Picture? And I don't think it's very, very rare, if ever, that something gets nominated for Best Picture
then
that's foreign language and then doesn't go on and win the foreign language award.
It's the Parasite effect, isn't it? You sort of, the writing's sort of on the wall. Yeah,
sentimental value, I suppose. Actually, no, I suppose you'll be duking it out with sentimental value. Actually,
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, and I might be talking out of my arse here. It's Sinners, in my opinion. I mean, I feel like all of the media's on side with Sinners. Everyone's excited for Sinners. I rewatched it last night because I was like, it was really good, but is it like Best Picture good? And I rewatched it and I was like, oh yes, this contains one of the finest sequences I think I've seen in a motion picture in maybe my entire 36 years on this planet. During the when he's playing the music and all of the ancestors return and people from the future. I was like, this is incredible. So I'm all in on Sinners to win. So I think, yeah, between Sentimental Value and The Secret Agent, probably for foreign language. Speaking of foreign language, I am annoyed that the Korean film that I spoke
No
about a
other
few
choice.
weeks ago, No Other Choice, didn't make the shortlist. Sorry, which seems like I know there are only five slots, and I haven't seen all of the films on there, but it seems daft to me. It was so good.
Yes, I've not seen it yet. I'm planning on seeing it this week. I think in terms of films I've seen since we last spoke, had I seen Hamnet when we last spoke?
Yes, you'd just seen it, I
I
think.
literally just seen it. So since we last spoke, I think the only thing I've seen is 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I preferred it to 28 Years Later. I thought it was better than 28 Years Later. I think there is a sequence in that is one of the sequences of the year in a film.
I know exactly what sequence you're talking. Oh, I can finally talk about it because I saw it in
you can.
October or something stupid like that. Yes, the bit the bit that kicks off the third act in the Bone Temple is what I imagine you're talking about. I I agree. My mouth was open during that because I was so shocked by what I was watching. Ray Fiennes is having the best time.
Yes, it was. I just thought it was bizarrely sort of joyous zombie movie. Like it's properly leans into being silly. Alex Garland has fully leaned into this sort of alternate Britain where everything stopped in the early 2000s and pop culture didn't move on.
Yep.
So you've got the weird sort of Jimmy Savile disciple type people who keep saying, "How's that?"
What was that? How's that? You know what the worst thing is? Over Christmas, my friends and I, who had all seen the film, kept on saying, "How's about that?" just to each other from the film. And we were in the pub and we realized we were doing it. And we were like, "No, you can't do this in this country." I would say about 28 years later, The Bone Temple, while it does contain that joyous sequence that you describe in the third act, I would say it has arguably one of the most shockingly violent moments I've seen in a horror film in quite some time, when the Jimmies decide to give charity to the family who they find.
Yeah,
And
pretty horrible.
it was, I was at the press screening for that, and the press tend to have quite a strong stomach because they watch an awful lot of crap. No, it was a real. Everyone is looking at the floor. You can hear the gasps coming from everywhere at that moment. I'm glad you enjoyed it though, because I think it's better than 28 Years Later as well.
I do, and I think it's a shame they released it so quickly after 20 years later. I think if they'd waited till the end of this year, it might have done better. I think it's probably a bit too soon for it to be following the last one.
Yeah, because it's doing absolute sight at the box office, isn't it? It's made like 4p, essentially. But that is a little bit the fault of 28 Years Later, which a movie I really like, by the way, but isn't the movie that everyone sort of wanted. Everyone wanted a big scary zombie movie, and they got a more introspective movie about grief and loss, whereas this is that nasty zombie movie that people wanted, but no one's going to turn up to see it. I hope word of mouth is strong on it.
I think word of mouth is strong. I think it's got better cinema scores coming out than 28 Years Later had. So hopefully word of mouth will keep it going. I know a lot of films are struggling in the States at the moment because it's a bit snowy.
It is indeed a bit snowy, and no one's got any money.
So just before we end the awards chat, just wanted to shout out a couple of short films from Manchester Film Festival last year that have got nominations. So Solstice has been nominated in the Best British Short Animation category. Fantastic 3D animation. And in the Best British Short Film category, a short documentary called This is Endometriosis has been nominated as one of the 5 for Best British Short Film. So lovely to see in our first year as a BAFTA qualifying festival, 2 of the films that played at the festival making the shortlists.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I think it'll be Sinners versus One Battle After Another. I think they'll be duking it out, and I think they could split the top honours. So I think they could split director and best film. I think Sinners might take best film, and Paul Thomas Anderson might take best director, because I feel like, as they love to do in Hollywood, I feel like it's his time.
I think yes. I think like there is probably some consideration from the Academy that Ryan Coogler will have another Sinners in him, but does Paul Thomas Anderson, and which is a shame because I like if you've made the best, I know it's not this, but if you've made the best film, then you are the best director. Like, I know it's not that simple, but whatever. You know, who are we? We are not Academy members, and we do not have this power.
No, we don't. But I am a BAFTA member, and I have a very, very tiny amount of power in voting for the BAFTAs. So, I think it's a tough one this year. Like, I really do think it is genuinely one of the strongest. Like that, the 5 films for best film at the BAFTAs, I loved all of them. So Hamnet, Mighty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentiment of Value, and Sinners, all very different, and I loved all of them. So I think it's a really strong year. I know there have been years, especially recently, where you've looked at the lineup and you've been like, really? It's going to be one of those?
Yeah, it's one of those years where like there's no Green Book this year looming over everything, you know, ready to ruin everyone's day with its mediocrity. You're not going to, even though I really want Sinners to win, it's not like if Sentimental Value wins, I'm going to be on X throwing a paddy. Like everything there feels justified. It feels like a really, really strong year. It's just, yeah, I'm just a Sinners fanboy. I can't help it.
Yeah. It's not like, it's not like the Coda year where Coda wins and no one had ever seen it or heard of it.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, just on the BAFTAs as well, like, so Best Actor, and listen, again, we are I Swear fans. Robert Aramayo for Best Actor.
Yeah.
Also The Rising Star. Also nominated for Rising Star. I don't really think you can be nominated for Best Actor and Rising Star. I know he might not win Rising Star, but the guy is also leading, you know, the most expensive TV show in the world as well.
Yes.
And it's to call him a rising star seems, a little late.
Yeah, I did. This isn't his first rodeo. Like like you say, he is currently leading that TV show.
Yeah, again, you know what? You're a BAFTA member, so you can explain it to me. What's happened there?
No idea, because I didn't get to vote in the shortlists for either of those categories. But I don't know how the Rising Stars decided. I'm assuming it's decided by a jury. So yeah, it is a funny one. I think the Rising Star.
Maybe they've not.
Sometimes it's a bit of a kiss of death, though, winning the Rising Star award.
Well, maybe the people in the jury didn't have Prime Video subscription, so they couldn't watch Rings of Power. I know what you mean. It's just listen, it was just an oddity on the shortlist.
Yeah, I think there's always something odd on that. I mean, I think Wicked getting locked out of absolutely everything at the Academy Awards was a bit mad. Like not even getting a costume or production design or anything nomination seemed insane.
I mean, say what you want about, and I feel for Wicked because I do think that like the release of the first one seems so long ago now, but everyone loved Wicked, and everyone was saying like, "Oh, this is going to be a big one at the Oscars." Probably not this year though, because they're going to want to wait, you know, until both of them are out. And it does feel like, well, okay, Wicked for Good wasn't as good as Wicked, but we all expected that. I do feel it's a little bit of a kick in the teeth for everyone involved to be like, no, because you made a rubbish movie, and they're like, but the first one was good, and they're like, yeah, nah, just don't worry about it. I would have had it as my populist choice over F1 in the Best Picture, and I do think that it deserves some of the some technicals at the Oscars, and it is good that BAFTA have put in for Best Costume, because some of the costumes for like I've just closed the shortlist for Best Academy Award costumes, but some of them are just like 1950s costumes, which is like great, I guess, you know. But like I've seen it, the costumes in Wicked. Have we forgotten the sex cardigan already? It's been less than a month and we've all forgotten the Wicked Witch's sex cardigan.
I suppose the tricky thing with it is that they are pretty much the same costumes as the first one because they were filmed simultaneously. So I can kind of See where they're like, well, but you won that last year for the same costume, so we're not going to give it you again.
I suppose.
But yeah, a complete lockout. And obviously, Stephen Schwartz is going to be gutted. He didn't get a Best Original Song nomination. He wrote 2 new ones, but unfortunately, they weren't as good as the other ones he wrote.
I'll go further. They were shite.
Yeah, they weren't. I'm being diplomatic. They were dull as anything. Like he didn't write another Let It Go, did he? Not Let It Go. Defying Gravity. Different. Idina Menzel sings them both, but yeah, he didn't write another Defying Gravity.
No, he didn't. We were talking about them the other day at work, actually, because someone was writing, obviously, the story of the Oscars, of the Wicked lockout, and we were playing the game. Can you name those songs without Googling them? And it very quickly emerged, no.
No Place Like Home and Girl in the Bubble.
There you go. There, see, Neil, where were you? I should have texted you.
I have teenage daughters, so
yeah, there you go.
Yes, they get played occasionally. Right, should we move on to the really important news of the week?
Of course we should.
So the 12th Manchester Film Festival is going to be taking place 19th to the 29th of March 2029. We're back at venues across the city. We haven't announced our opening or closing films yet. They are to come. So our opening and closing will again be at Aviva Studios. So we'll be announcing those 2 events in the next couple of weeks. But the majority of the program is out. And we are pretty excited about it. We've got 8 world premieres, 9 world premieres, 9 or 10 UK premieres. We've got 2 world premieres from Manchester filmmakers. So we've got the filmmakers behind Departures back with Chatlines, a sort of weird sci-fi gay romance. Part screen life, part regular film, sci-fi kind of, madness. Sad and quirky and really good. So that's going to be kicking us off on the Friday night. And then we've got Synthesized, starring Thomas Turgoose, which is the new film from Chris Green, a Manchester filmmaker who's had a few films already. It's his first ever film in a film festival. So he's pretty excited. Yeah. So he's had films before, but he's always just gone sort of straight to release or straight to whatever. Even his short films, he never went to film festivals with, amazingly. So this is his first time at a film festival.
I love Tommy Turgoose, so literally, I'll watch anything he's in.
I'll give you an exclusive, Tom. He's also going to be coming and doing an In Conversation with at the festival.
Oh,
so we're going to have a 45-minute In Conversation with Thomas Turgoose on the same day as his film screening. So that will be nice. What are your highlights then? What have you spotted that you really want to see when you're up in Manchester, Tom?
See, I fear I'm going to pick some of these and you're going to be like, but that's not in competition, so you can't have that one.
No, you can. You can be excited about any of it, Tom.
So the ones that I'm really excited for are The Last Viking with Mads Mikkelsen, the black comedy, because I think another round taught us that Mads Mikkelsen doing comedy, especially black comedy, is just a recipe for a good time. I was looking through the shortlist and I was like, oh, Mads Mikkelsen. I Googled it and then I stopped reading the plot because I didn't want to know anymore. I just got to the bit where it said Mads Mikkelsen comedy and I was like, yes, I am in for that. I know we literally just mentioned Chatlines, but I do like myself some sci-fi. I do think it's an interesting lens with which to explore the modern world in which we live through a slightly fantastical way. And I think it stars Nico
Miralegro. Yeah, Nico Miralegro's in it.
Who was in a TV show for a few years ago, which I really enjoyed, called My Mad Fat Diary.
He was indeed.
If I run into him, I just I'll do my best not to mention that to him while if he.
I'm sure he's fine about you mentioning it. Like he doesn't mind talking about being in that show. I think that did a lot for his career. So he's more than happy.
There's also Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, the new Jim Jarmusch, which was at the which festival was that at last year?
Toronto, I believe.
Was that?
No, Venice. No, so it won I believe it won some awards at Venice.
Regardless, always interested to see what Jim's got up his sleeve. And
he's got a couple of celebs in there as well in that film.
Yes,
just a couple,
which always helps. There's our hero Balthazar with Asa Butterfield, which I saw had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is quite the achievement these days, considering normally some critic tries to drag you off the 100% platform. And
So
how could we forget?
So Our Hero Balthazar, just quickly, is Carl's favourite film at the festival. He says it's an absolute banger. It is directed by one of the Safdie brothers' longtime collaborators. So producer on Uncut Gems. This is his, I think maybe his directorial debut, but it's definitely in that kind of vein. So it's that kind of New York Safdie brothers type vein of the film.
I mean, I've got the synopsis here of a wealthy teenager tries to gain his crush's attention by posting videos pleading for stricter gun control. But when an online troll begins mocking his videos, he becomes convinced the troll is a mass shooter. It sounds Safdie-esque.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for that. And how could we forget as well, Kit Harington, who I believe is bringing a short to the festival, Psychopomp, which is, you might correct me here, I believe is his directorial debut.
Yes, so this is his directorial debut, this short film. So very exciting to have that at the festival. I don't think it's played many other festivals, so we're very excited to have it. It's a good name for a short, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. To be fair, it's a very good name for a short. Again, if he's at the festival, I'm not going to embarrass myself by doing northern accent from Game of Thrones and being like, "You know nothing, Kit Harington." Maybe
I imagine he's probably used to it.
Probably, but I don't think you'd expect it from someone at the fest. Someone, working at the festival in a professional capacity to be like, "Let me show you my Jon Snow impression." What's Sean Bean like? I don't think he's interested in answering those questions.
No, I imagine he's probably slightly tired of answering those questions now.
Maybe a wee bit. Who knows? How about you, Neil? Though, what are you excited for? You'll have seen some of them at this point, though, won't you? So.
Yes, I've seen a lot of the stuff already. I think there's a lot of stuff in there that is really, really good. I think we've got Mispa, which is, again, I think Harry is a Manchester lad, but he's moved away, but he's coming back with his directorial debut. That's got, I'm going to forget the name of the actor, but he was the boy genius in Alien Earth. He's in that.
Oh.
And that's a really quirky sort of British film. We've got Mark Jenkins' new film of Bait fame, Rose of Nevada, starring George Mackay and Callum Turner. So 2 hot young British properties in that. Looks really, really good. Really looking forward to that. We've got, if you're into your French cinema, we've got The Stranger by Francois Ozon. We've got Claire Denis' new film, The Fence. Claire Denis' new film, The Fence, with Mia McKenna-Bruce, Matt Dillon, and Tom Blythe, but that is English language. So she's continuing her English language vein, whereas obviously Francois Ozon is actually in French. We've also got Love Me Tender, another French film. I'll tell you what, we get offered a lot of films from sales agents, and wow, they make a lot of films in France. Oh my days, yes. They make lots of films.
Well, clearly, Neil, you've never watched the hit show Call My Agent, all about the French film world. And that's when I learned that France has a lot of movies, basically, and essentially doesn't want anything to do with the Hollywood system and just makes its own pictures pretty much all the time.
They do, but they also, having chatted to a French filmmaker about this, they also do love it when something like Avatar comes out and makes millions and millions of pounds in France, because the way they fund their film industry is they just put a small tax on every cinema admission. So every time you go to the cinema in France, the cinema ticket might be £5, it might be £10, doesn't matter. 50p of it or a pound of it goes towards the French version of the BFI and funds the French film industry.
Oh, that's really clever.
Yes. And apparently, the way they fund their films is the envy of the world. And I'm like, well, just copy it then. It's not, not like they're going, no one else can do this. This is our thing. You're not allowed. They would be like, yeah, well, we've shown you the best way to do it. Just do what we do. But no one, people are stupid. I don't know.
The government is stupid, Neil.
Instead, we get money from gambling to pay for ours, from things like the National Lottery, which... let's not get political, but is really just another tax on poor people, isn't it? So,
yeah. Yeah.
And idiots like me, because I play it every now and again.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, but I'm a poor person.
I'm guessing billionaires aren't playing the lottery.
No, but I don't. But then they also miss out on the opportunity to sit there on a Friday thinking, "What if I win the Euro Millions tonight? What am I going to spend it on?
I might have 100 million in the morning."
Yeah, who knows?
I'll start my own film studio. But yeah, no, it's a really exciting lineup. 52 features, over 100 shorts. It's, the short films are always fun. We mix the shorts up, so it's always like it's just a random selection of shorts in a short session. So you will have one short that's just a wacky experimental, then you'll have a drama that makes you cry, and then you'll have a really stupid one that makes you laugh, and everything in between. So yeah, it's really really good just to come and experience the short films. And you get to then probably have Q&As with 4 or 5 of the filmmakers in screen afterwards, which is always great. We've got loads of Q&As this year, loads of the filmmakers coming, getting involved in the festival, which is always fun. There might be some parties with the filmmakers and stuff afterwards. Like, these sort of things happen.
You can't possibly say at this point.
Couldn't possibly say. But yes, there will be parties, there will be drinking. It will be fun. And yeah, while we're talking about film festivals, Sundance is happening and deals are being made in its final Park City home. I don't think many deals have been made yet. I think only one so far that I've seen, which was The Invite. Olivia Wilde's Olivia Wilde film, starring Seth Rogen and amongst others, has sold to A24, which isn't a big shock. I mean, it was produced by Film Nation and Annapurna. It was always going to sell to someone.
I mean, I'm going to say it's not a shock considering, yes, Olivia Wilde, yes, Seth Rogen, yes, the production team behind it. But also, Olivia Wilde's been let out of movie jail very quickly, considering "Don't Worry, Darling." Like, but like the world for at least 2 weeks was obsessed with the drama around "Don't Worry, Darling" and the leaked text and the misflow messages. And of course, how could we forget? Did Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine's lap at Venice? Like, I'm shocked. Considering, like, in all seriousness, like, normally that type of stuff can really have an impact on a filmmaker's career. So I'm glad that Olivia, because I love Booksmart. Like, I think Booksmart is brilliant. I'm less fond of Don't Worry, Darling. I do think it's a little bit by the numbers. So I'm glad that she's got something out so soon after that. But I am a little surprised that someone was it got made.
This is Hollywood, Tom. And there's one thing above anything else that talks in Hollywood, and that is money. And
yes,
as much as Don't Worry, Darling had all that furore around it, that only drove people to go and see it at the cinema. Also, I went to see it in the cinema, and there were teenage girls there who were just there for Harry Styles and got their phones out to film every bit that Harry Styles was in, which was very annoying. But it did 90 million basically at the box office against a 35 million budget. So it did nearly 3 times its budget, sort of 2.5 times its budget, which means it made its money back in its theatrical run. And I think if it had done 10 million at the international box office and died a death after Olivia Wilde's antics, then I think she would have stayed in movie jail a long time. But when you make 90 million on a 35 budget, you get out of jail quickly.
I suppose that's true. It's true. You have brought back flashbacks to my experience of watching Don't Worry, Darling, which was very much like yours. Anytime it was a packed screening, a Friday night in Manchester, and anytime Harry Styles came out on screen, the phones came out so that people could record Harry Styles on screen, which prompted one of my friends to start shouting at teenagers, "That is illegal! Stop filming! It is illegal!" And the teenagers could not give less of a shit. So my friend was like, "I'm going to go tell the ushers." Went and told the usher, and the usher essentially said, "What do you want me to do about it?" And it was just like, "Oh, good. We're not going to even bother with cinema etiquette these days. We're just going to pretend it's not happening."
Yes. Cinema etiquette is slowly maybe getting better, but it's definitely worse than it was pre-COVID. I think people got used to being able to do what they wanted while they were watching films and thought that would carry forward to a place where You're sharing the space with people you don't know and who are there to enjoy the film and don't want to hear your commentary of it to the person you're sat next to, or see you massaging hand lotion into your feet.
Yeah, just anything. Just like watch the movie. People aren't there to hear what you think about the movie, or to the woman who sat next to me in Together. Just I'm not interested in what Instagram reels you're looking at. Just put the phone away.
Yeah, the phone stays in the pocket.
I have never seen a phone out at a Manchester Film Festival screening because Manchester Film Festival attendees know how to behave.
They do. Some of the short filmmakers do get excited and get their phones out and take photos of their own film up on the screen, though.
Yeah, that's allowed. That's the one time I'll say.
It is allowed. It sometimes does not go down with regular audience members, but I mean, it's hard to tell a short filmmaker not to get excited and take a photo of their own film on screen. But yeah, I mean, I think other than that, Sundance seems to be going Sundancey.
Yeah, I've not really heard much from it. Like, as I say,
Extra Geography, the film with Galaxy Clear, the girl from Manchester who goes to the same acting class as my daughter, that's had really good reception. I'm surprised that hasn't sold yet, or there's no information that I could find about that selling yet. But I saw an interview with her, and God, she's a good talker. She gave an absolutely lovely, brilliant interview after the film screening, talking about what it was all about, and really just sort of grown up answer. I was like, wow, oh, crikey. That's she knows what
media
she's talking
trend
about.
them young these days.
She's definitely one to watch for the future, I think. And a name like Galaxy Clear is, come on, it's a great name.
So yeah, I'm just looking now on Vulture. They've only listed 2 things have sold so far. One being The Invite, and the other Leviticus, which Mia Wasikowska and directed by Adrian Chiarella. Like, I've not heard much about it, to be honest.
No, but apparently Guillermo del Toro was doing some karaoke at one of the parties, while everyone else with like a mariachi band, but everyone else sort of stood around going, "Who's this old guy singing this weird song?" And then I'm just online now, and The Cut have got a headline, which I don't really want to go too much into. Searching for sex toys at the I Want Your Sex after party. So I'm assuming
what happens in Sundance stays in Sundance.
Yeah, I'm assuming that is a film that's played Sundance. Yeah, it is. It's an erotic comedy thriller. So obviously they had some sexy toys at their after party, because if you've written a film called I Want Your Sex and it's silly, it stars, guess who?
Go on,
Olivia Wilde.
Well, there we go. Good for you, Olivia.
Come full circle, and we come full circle. And Johnny Knoxville.
Well, the Jackass. They are making a new Jackass movie. Maybe this is how he's funding it. He's like,
they are indeed making a new Jackass movie, and I think we're all excited for a new Jackass movie, because
you may joke, but I know people who will have that as their movie of the most anticipated movie of the year.
I will go and see it in the cinema. I'd love a bit of Jackass. I mean, you are aware that Quentin Tarantino named his sort of top 10 movies of the 2000s, and Jackass made the top 5, I think. The original Jackass movie.
I bet that really annoyed some people.
Oh, God, it will have annoyed people. And then he randomly put Black Hawk Down at number 1, saying that he hadn't really seen it since he watched it and thought it was crap when he first saw it. But now he thinks it's great.
Now he's like, I've changed my mind. It's the best movie I've ever seen. It's the best movie of the 2000s. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, that man.
He's good. He is good value. Right. I think we'll wrap up there. I think we've said all we need to say. We've thrown our 2 pence in the awards chat. Laid your cards out for Sinner.
Sinners is gonna win. Sinner sweet.
It's amazing.
Titanic, Ben.
I think it'll get a lot of rewatches, and I think the rewatches, like you say, I think it's really good on a rewatch. So I'm going to give it a rewatch over the weekend, and I think, like you say, the recency bias is a big thing in the movie. So Marty Supreme probably is the most recent of them in terms of the big ones where you're thinking that will do really well. But then, if people go back and rewatch as well at the same time, then maybe Maybe Sinners will be. It's the year for Sinners. It's the year for a horror movie to win the Academy Award.
First since Silence of the Lambs, I think.
We've talked about this before, Tom. Silence of the Lambs is not a horror movie. It's
for God's sake, Silence of the
psychological
Lambs
thriller.
is a horror movie. He cuts off a man's face and wears it to escape at the end. It's a horror movie. It's basically. Oh, you know what? I'm not going into it. It's just not.
We've talked about this before, Tom. We've talked about this before.
They're walking through the asylum and it turns into Dracula's castle. What are you talking about? Anyway. We've spoken about this before.
We have. And people still try and claim it. I mean, you'll have people try and claim that Sinners somehow isn't a horror movie. Because, the first half of it is a Prohibition-era drama.
I think it speaks to just how good that film is, that it's a really interesting Prohibition drama, and you sort of forget that you're watching a vampire movie until, Jack O'Connell.
Yeah.
Jack O'Connell turns up and he's like, "Hi, I'm a vampire. I'm here to eat you."
Has Jack O'Connell been in the two of the best set pieces in horror movies this year?
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
Yes, he has. Because that Irish dance that he does outside is also absolutely brilliant as well. And of course, what happens in 28 Years Later too, which we won't say because it's a spoiler at this point. Yeah. But yeah,
he does play a good psychopath.
Also, Jack O'Connell. I'm not saying it. He definitely deserved a Best Supporting, but do you think he was on the long list?
I don't know. I think that sort of role doesn't tend to get. Although Amy Madigan's been nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Weapons, so I think maybe he wasn't in it for long enough.
Listen. I'm a big fan of Weapons, but I think if you're putting Amy in, don't get me wrong, again, though, maybe it's that thing, like we were saying, of is Amy likely to have another movie that you would put up for an Oscar? Possibly not. Whereas Jack O'Connell has proven the fact he's going to win an Oscar at some point in his life. Like, it's going to happen.
You would assume. He's definitely getting those roles now where if you need someone to play an absolutely out there character, he's got to be up there on your list of people who can do it. And he's got a lot of diversity in the characters he plays. We talked before about Paul Mescal in like Hamnet. So he got locked out. He didn't get nominated for Best Actor. And I think that's right, because I think he's very one note. He's a really good actor. I'm not saying he's bad. He's a really good actor, but I don't think he's exciting.
No, I'd agree. Like it's just not. It's not the thing of that film that I come out and go, "Wow, Paul Mescal was great in that, was it?" No, it's just he's just sort of competent and there, and maybe that's what. Maybe Jack's fallen a little bit in Sinners because of how good Michael B. Jordan is in it. I don't know.
Yeah, twice.
Maybe it's the fact he turns into a monster at the end of the film. They were like, "No, we can't do this," and he gets a guitar embedded in his head. Maybe they were like, "Nah."
Yeah, but again, Amy Madigan for Weapons.
Ripped apart by children. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Like this, I'm genuinely like, I know she was getting a lot of awards love from the other bodies in America, but I didn't think she'd then make the Academy list. I thought that was mad. Good for her. I think she's great in Weapons, and she's she commits, and it's a really eerie, weird performance. But she's kind of playing a supernaturally witchy person, which isn't a normal. It's not a normal part that gets recognition, which is great.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I think that if they want people to actually watch the Oscars, and they are desperate for people to watch the Oscars, you do need to include these types of things in your like in your selection, because it's great. Like we know that whatever wins Best Picture will get a bump. Like when they inevitably re-release it in the weeks after the Oscars. But like for the most part, these films aren't often quite as popular as the big blockbustery stuff. So it's nice then the stuff like this does get in there.
Just very, very briefly before we wrap up, we haven't talked about the fact that I think there's only 2 or 3 years left of the Oscars being on broadcast television, and then they're going worldwide via YouTube.
So I got the press release on the day of the Oscars shortlist that ITV still has is still showing it in the UK. But yeah, I think is it only 2 years?
It's not. It's definitely not long before it goes to YouTube.
I worry for that because that is a long ceremony anyway, and I feel that being on television sort of like makes them keep it short-ish, and I fear if they're told, "Well, we'll just stream it live," that they will take full advantage of the fact that they now can be as long as they want because we're just on YouTube, and you could be looking at those old like, do you remember how sometimes it would run for like five
Yeah.
hours?
Yeah. Well, how long would Adrian Brody have talked last year?
Oh god, yeah. No. I don't wanna I think listen, I'm fine with them moving online, it makes it more accessible. Funnily enough, I was talking about this with some journos the other day. It used to be an absolute nightmare to watch in the UK because it was only shown on Sky and Now TV, and quite a lot of the time, journalists can't afford Sky and Now TV, so didn't have a way to watch it in the UK, which meant they had to find other ways of watching it. So I'm all for making it easier to watch, but yeah, I fear an unbound Academy Awards looks like. Does it start to tick back up in length? How self-indulgent can it get?
Oh, it can get very self-indulgent would be my guess. 2029 is when it will be first on YouTube. So three award ceremonies left where they are constrained by traditional broadcasters. And then 2029, they can do whatever they want.
Terrifying thought.
Yes. I mean, will we see Oscar filibustering where someone just keeps talking?
I'm going to talk now for 6 hours so we never get to the best actor award because I don't want them to win anything. Maybe. Who knows? Listen, we'll see. Maybe I'm being cynical.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't you be cynical? It's easy to be cynical. Right, we're going to wrap up there. Lots to talk about, and when we come back, we'll have seen more films. We'll have there'll have been more news. There'll be more film chat to have in a couple of weeks. So make sure you follow us where you get your podcasts. What were you about to say, Tom?
I was going to say it's very possible that when we next record, I will have seen Wuthering Heights.
Ooh.
I think I'm allowed to say that.
Well, there's a lot of they're ramping up the publicity for that. There's a lot of racy photo shoots being done with the two very sexy stars of that one.
Shocking, that.
Yeah, strange. And they're playing on the fact. Didn't they?
I know.
So, no, they haven't.
Poor Margot Robbie's husband, though, will just have to endure that, I guess.
Yeah. But it's not like Jacob Elordi's that attractive or anything, so.
No, exactly. It's not like he's also being spoken about as the next James Bond. Like,
no, he's too tall.
Too tall. Okay, you know what? We
I know
can
he's
talk
Australian,
about this.
isn't he? He's Australian.
Yeah, he is, but so was George Lazenby. Was Australian, wasn't he?
Yeah. How well did he do as James Bond? What, one movie?
Very
I think he
true.
did one movie, and then his agent told him he was bigger than Bond, so they didn't do any more. You've got bigger things on your horizon, George. Move on.
Oh dear.
Some agents maybe just need sacking. Right. So maybe some Wuthering Heights chat next time, and who knows? Maybe they'll have told us who James Bond is. So join us next time when we are between screenings.
Bye.